Good evening, welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It is a Talk Town special, and Steve's headline this week is Town lose at Stockport to last minute winner. Tell you what, Steve, that has hit the spot on it. That you couldn't get any more straight to the point with that headline. How are you feeling, my friend? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, I've accidentally just cut myself before the podcast, before we've gone live. So I literally bleed for this podcast. Blood, sweat, and tears.
I mean, why are you playing with knives in your bedroom? I don't know, Steve. Anyway, Cal, how are you, my friend?
Superb, mate. All good. Yourself?
Steady away, mate. Steady away. Thank you very much. Okay, got some comments in from Michael, John, and Paul. We're going to go through them very, very shortly. So thank you very much for putting your comments in already. Before we even started, we are going to have Oliver joining us. He's just running a little bit late at the moment. I think he's been in a bowls tournament, so we might ask him about that. But we've got a few more things to speak about before that. So, Cal, I'm going to come to you first. Huddersfield Town at 0, Stockport County 1. We've got quite a bit to talk about according to Steve's agenda that he sent in earlier. We'll see how much we can get through of that one. So let's just dive straight into it, Cal. Overall, yesterday, wasn't exactly the result Town were looking for.
No, definitely not. But they weren't looking, from what I saw and the way we were set up and the way that we played, they weren't exactly looking to win it either.
Yeah, which now brings me on to my next point. Let's go through the lineup, and it would have been a lot better if I'd have had this set up earlier. But we had Lee Nichols in goal, and then we had the back three of Lowe, Wallace, and Balker. The two wing backs were we had Ruskin back in the lineup and Gooch. Humphreys came in for his debut. We're going to talk about him as well at some point this evening. Ledson in midfield, Harness as well, and then Dion Charles and Radolovic up top. So that was your lineup, Cal. What I'm quite interested to know is, and Steve, same question to you when I come to you is, what do you feel as if the game plan was yesterday?
I felt it's a lineup that on paper was quite looked quite attacking. You know, you've got two strikers on there. You've got good sort of midfield attacking wing backs, wingers, whatever they were. Not really sure. And you thought, right, okay, we're going to go after him. And then the game started, and it seemed to be immediately that we were sitting off and we were almost from the first minute trying to play for the 0-0. We were passive and lackluster from the very first minute. And you could see that the way that the game was going to go, it became sort of an attritional slog between who could break who down. But Stockport were giving it a good go in trying to pass through the thirds and not to sound too much like Lee Grant, but get into the appropriate zones. And Huddersfield Town just seemed content with defending, lumping away, then defending again, and keeping that cycle going and just praying that the ball didn't go in the back of the net.
That seemed to be a bit of the game plan, wasn't it, Carl, in terms of the lump forward. It was down channels where, therefore, when you... So, let's go back to Town's formation, right? Okay, so we've got the back three, with two wing backs, three in the middle of the park. What looked as if now Harness was playing the Castledine role, which is the /10/left winger, and then the two strikers. So no wide players apart from the wing backs, who, would you argue, Cal, I mean, Steve as well, but Gooch just seemed to either be too high or too deep yesterday. And then, so we're talking about getting rid of the ball down the field, and it's going down the channels where there's no wide play. So then when the strikers were coming out of position to go get them balls, and then we found as if it was hard to get the ball into the box because there was no one to aim for.
yeah, your players are having to go looking for the ball rather than being in the positions to receive. And when that happens, your tactical shape gets pulled all over the place. But it also creates those little pockets of space that Stockport have been so good in exploiting, in not only this season, but in recent seasons gone by. That's not a surprise that they were going to do that. Why weren't we set up to be more compact almost, to close those gaps down and move as a unit?
Steve, what did you make of the lineup? How did you see the game plan? What did you think it was?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Obviously, the obvious change was Castledine out and Humphreys in. I hope that would give us some sort of, not pace, but athleticism. I don't know if that's a word. But yeah, I'd like to hope that that's what Humphreys gave us. I was like Cal says, quite happy with the lineup, but the game plan seemingly was to try and get a 0-0 draw away at Stockport instead of going to win the thing. You talk about playing the balls down the channels and such. I think part of the game plan to do that was because Stockport have got 6'5" giants at centre back, so you can't really put it into the strikers that we had on. I mean, yes, we all say Bojan is getting a lot better at holding the ball up, but when he's got a big 6'5" centre back clattering into the back of him, it's not really his type of game. So Charles, again, does a lot of running around and a lot of pressing, but when there's nobody pressing with him, it's kind of ineffectual, isn't it? And we talk about the two sort of full-backs getting up, wing-backs kind of getting up and trying to support, but again, there didn't seem to be a lot of cohesion with the midfield, as Cal says, doing that, and that's what led to them gaps, and that's what Stockport operated in with Norwood, particularly, as we well know, he's a great operator.
Yeah, and funnily enough, the two formations were quite similar, and yet one side was way on top of the other. There wasn't that many big chances for either side, in all fairness. So Town did defend quite well, but eventually, if you're defending for like that, like a lot of our listeners believe, you defend for too long, you're going to get what's coming for you. So let's just go through a few comments, and then Cal, I'm going to come back to you, mate, and then Steve. In fact, no, I'm going to come back to Steve, Cal, and then I'm going to get you to round off the game for us. So Michael says, all-round dire performance at Stockport, poor game management by Grant, sat back and came for a draw. We made Stockport look good. Awful defending for Stockport goal. Grant out. John Eastwood, evening, guys. That performance yesterday demonstrates that Grant has completely sucked the enjoyment out of the fans who pay to watch and play sent out on the pitch. Surely the owner, can't see this. Michael, I've seen a couple more of yours. We're going to come back to them. Paul, I wonder who you support. Just keep Grant for another couple of weeks, then you can bin him off. No need for knee-jerk reactions. And Dave says, government warning, watching Huddersfield Town can damage your health. Grant got what he deserved yesterday for setting up for a point.
Yeah.
Mark Harrison, really disappointed on the ball yesterday. No connection between defence, midfield and attack. Complete lack of ambition and a slow the game down tactic. Horrible. I think I'm just going to stick with them for now because I've got plenty coming in. And we've got Fiona, Dale, Blue Terrier, Terry 930. So thank you so much. Just going to go with them for now. We'll come back to them. Steve, it did seem like it took Town a lot of time to even string a good amount of passes together.
Yeah, it wasn't good enough. One of the things that really annoys me is against the top six sides particularly, and I don't know whether Carl wants to expand on this in a minute, but we struggle very much with the physicality of those top six teams. We struggled at Lincoln. We managed to get away with a point there. We struggled definitely at Cardiff with it, and we very much struggled yesterday. And I don't understand why that is. We're so weak and poor in the midfield from a I wouldn't say a technical point of view on paper, because you'd like to think that we've got some of the better players in the league to perform those passes. But when they're put under pressure physically by an opposition midfield that likes to get on top like Stockport does, we just crumble. And then that leads on to other errors, such as what Charles was doing. I mean, when I say what was he doing, I don't really know what he was doing, to be absolutely honest. He didn't help the team really in any way, shape, or form. I thought that was his poorest game for a while. Obviously, he's been in and out. I still have no clue what the hell's happened with Alfie May. And I find Grant's comments after the game quite worrying about May. He didn't convince me in the slightest that it was a slight knock. Alfie May doesn't come across as a striker that would just be out because of a slight knock. So yeah, it was definitely worrying when you say that we didn't get any passes together. That was the whole first half. Let's be honest. I mean, we didn't put a glove on them in the first half, did we at all? And we didn't really do that in the second half. I think we got better, didn't we, with Alves and Humphreys definitely linking up a bit better. But the first half was just you might as well, from a Town point of view, not play the game.
Cal, let's round up the game. I'm going to come to a few more comments, and then we're going to crack on with Steve's agenda. We're also going to bring Oliver in. It took Lee Grant until the 69th minute to bring Will Alves on for Marcus Harness, and then it took another 18 minutes for him to make another change, with 3 minutes of normal time to go, for Joe Taylor to come on for Dion Charles. Lots of comments on about game management here as well, which we're going to touch on. But can you just round up the end of this second half for us, the goal, before we move on to some of what our listeners have been saying?
The most predictable end to a Huddersfield Town game you could probably get.
Yeah.
Everybody could see it was coming. And it's strange. We'd set up to stop an attack like that from happening. But because we'd set up from the first minute to stop an attack like that from happening, by the time that it comes, the players are knackered. They're tired. They've been doing it for 96 minutes at this point. And the ball comes in, and you could point to any number of players that have to be doing better in the box to get their positioning of goalkeepers, whatever you like. At 96 minutes, that ball goes over the top. You know it's going in. Everybody did, because it had been coming, and it's no less than Stockport deserve. And to lose 1-0 is probably better than we deserved in terms of the way we set up and the way the game was going. You know, I don't want to go all stat or Paul on this podcast, because I really don't do numbers or maths or anything. But look at laying it bare, you can absolutely see throughout the game, if you look at just the passes, because everybody was talking about how shocking we were at linking it all together, and the attack, midfield and defence not linking up together. The passing is shocking. So we had 68 passes throughout the 90 minutes in Stockport's half. 68. They had 231 in our half. We had 85 in our own half. They had 192 in their own half. Overall, they made 522. We made 253. 60% of which were accurate.
It's bad, that. That's a terrible stat.
Appalling.
Yeah.
I don't care what level you're at. 60% pass accuracy, and to have more than or less than half of what your opponents have got. They're passing it round you. It's so clear that we were set up to sit back, foot off the pedal, let them come to us and deal with what came, because a 0-0 is better than losing 1-0.
I think we kind of maybe touched on this last week or the week before, and just want to touch on top of that, Cal. Going to teams like Stockport, going to teams like Lincoln, Cardiff, whoever, away or at home, is that the expectation of the club?
That we
sit back?
I mean, it clearly is the expectation of either the manager, his coaching staff, or those above him, because it keeps happening.
Is that due to recent form, do you think, Carl, or is that an overall thing?
I think it's I genuinely think that it's a belief that we are not as good as these teams. That we need to sit back because we don't have the quality in the side to be able to go after them. Whereas with a lower ranked side, a smaller club, at home, away from home plays into it. Edgeley Park, difficult place to go. I sound like that sketch from the Fast Show now, don't I? But I genuinely think there is a belief that we do not deserve to be beating these teams. Therefore, we should just roll over and have us belly tickled. And I don't agree with that, by the way, but I think that's the expectation. That's the only explanation for it.
Steve, do you see it like that as well at the moment?
I think it's an expectation from the manager. I think that's how he set his team out. It was quite clear, we can say that we were happy with the players on the pitch, probably bar Alfie May in terms of the personnel, but to go out with a game plan like he has done and sit back, it's not good enough. I mean, okay, you have to respect Stockport, good team. You have to respect Lincoln, but we're not playing Real Madrid here. We're not, you know what I mean? It's League One. It's supposed to be going out and trying to win promotion or at least strengthen our hand with the playoffs. Again, what comes into it for me is, we've played more games than anybody else. Because of whatever circumstance, and we need to put these points on the board. And he tried to play for a point yesterday and ended up losing the game rather than going to try and win it. And okay, if he goes and tries to win the game and tries to get 3 points and you lose it, you can be a little bit more satisfied with it. But to not even really go with the ambition of trying to win, it doesn't sit well. It's not something that really, as Huddersfield Town fans, you want your team to go and do. And I'd love to know what the players think. I really would love to know what the players think, because surely they can't be happy to just go and sit there trying to nick a 0-0. Surely that they don't want that.
No, right. Okay, let's go through some comments then. Oh, by the way, I've got a couple of comments that I'm not going to read out yet. And basically, them comments, they've got 2 words to them, and it's regarding a manager. I'd like to see if we can get more. If you believe the 2 comments have already been put in by that, I'd like to do a count up at the end of the show to find out where we are on that one.
It was my vote.
Cal, we already knows what your is. Blue Terrier says, Grant said after the game, it's back to the drawing board. How many more times does he need to do that before the board realises he can't find a winning formula? Dale says, tactics or lack of them wasn't a shock, as Lee Grant just wants to sit back and hope for a draw against the so-called better teams. Fiona says, Grant doesn't know how to change a game. He never brings on subs on at half-time. Just stick to his usual 1 at 70 minutes and Joe Taylor on for 4 minutes. Clueless. Absolute garbage yesterday, says Terry 930. How much longer are we going to persist with Grant? Heard yesterday he has now had a bust-up with May. Wouldn't be surprised if May's put a transfer request in. Tom believes this was a formation yesterday. 3-4-2-1. I'm not too sure on that one, but we'll have a little bit of a discussion on that one for you, Tom. Theo Martin, I was sat behind the dugout yesterday. The lack of enthusiasm or in-the-game management from Grant was so clearly absent. A lot of shouting from McShane, though. Mark says, Alves did show a willingness to have a go and showed what it could be done if you got at them. Again, Dave saying Alves made a difference when he came on. Why wait so long? Everybody knows what subs need bringing on except Grant. Phil says Grant can't hide behind Castledine no more. Clearly, we have been papering over the cracks in those games. We want to get out ASAP. What else have we got on here? We are so poor. He's lost the dressing room, has Grant. Dean Grant's great stop overreacting. Mind the gap. Obviously, a Bradford fan in there. I love that. Good to know you're watching Huddersfield Town stuff. Fantastic. They're going to be enjoying themselves in 2 weeks, potentially, aren't they? Positives, though. Alves was a real positive, looked good on the ball. He needs to be the first name on the team sheet now. Jed said we're sleepwalking into League One oblivion. Nearly got there. Thank you, Blue Terrier Seniors. I'll add that to the count. Nagel needs to swallow his pride. Admit his choice of manager hasn't worked out and get him sacked, but unfortunately, I don't think he will. The pitchforks will be out when Bradford beat us in a fortnight. Okay. Great comments, by the way. Thank you so much for getting them in because they're brilliant. I am now going to bring Oliver in, and then we're going to go through these comments because Oliver's been sitting tightly for us in the green room, we're going to call it. So, Oliver.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for holding on in the green room for us,
He's got his big kite on. He's got his big kite on.
Yeah,
holding on first.
It's pretty freezing out there, so yeah. Sorry, I'm late, everyone. But I was listening in the green room. Some good comments made. But yeah, I mean, I got my new coat, so that's positive. We'll start off with a positive.
Look like you're in a steam room. With like a massive light above you.
There is some greenery going on in our green room as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I like it. I like it, Oliver.
Colour it up a bit because it's quite dark as well. I might turn the light on in a minute. Yeah, I thought I'd better colour it up a bit because I'm not sure we'll have some positive stuff out of this. But anyway, yeah.
Oliver, get that light on.
Yeah, I'll go do that.
Steve, I'm going to come to you first. Then Cal, I'm going to come to you. Then Oliver, once you've got your light on, I'll come back to you, my friend. Lots of great comments in there, Steve. Is there any that you want to talk about, gloss over?
Yeah, I think. Listen, we'll preview the Bradford game when we get closer to it. I think that is going to be a massive game for Lee Grant. Let's have it right. If he gets absolutely thumped against Bradford, which at this moment in time I probably think that we are going to. I don't know how he survives. I don't, because surely the Mr. Nagel can see, you know, that the fan base is just not happy. Yes, we've been on an unbeaten run of 7, and like some people say, there are some positives in there, which is good. But I think overall, it's so disappointing in terms of you look forward to going to Stockport tomorrow. You think big game, the players should be up for it, Lee Grant should be up for it, and then, like people said, you know, you're just tactically unable to get one over on them. I don't get his subs. I never ever get his subs. I think the worst manager I ever saw at Town to do with subs is Fotheringham. And I tell you what, Lee Grant is he's running him close for being crap at making substitutions. To give Joe Taylor 4 minutes is just abysmal. And then to give, I know hours made a difference, but why are you only making 2 substitutions? Why? If somebody can explain to me, he did the same at Lincoln as well. It was like the carbon copy of the Lincoln game in terms of subs. So if somebody can explain to me what his tactics behind substitutions are, that'd be great.
Cal, some great comments in there. Any in particular that you want to talk about?
I mean, yeah. I think the general feeling is that, as Steve said, we're coming towards. Well, we're in a very important time in the season. January is a critical point usually for clubs that are not quite where they want to be. They can bolster and add, but given that we bolstered and added and it hasn't worked, under Grant's instruction, we were very clear at the time that when we got rid of Mark Cartwright, the decisions that were being made for and by the manager and the management team. Do we trust now that we were able to rebuild what was already a rebuild? I'm not sure, but we're coming towards the Bradford game. which is a pivotal game in this season, in that, one, will Grant be the manager by the time we play them? I'm not sure. Two, if we lose at home to Bradford and they do the double over us, I'm not sure the scenes of which, because some action has been talked about in terms of like protests and things like that, if it were to happen. I don't think the scenes at which we've seen at Huddersfield Town for a long time, and we're not talking pie in the sky at this point, if Bradford beat us, they probably will. They probably will, based on the way they're playing and the way we're playing, and the momentum they're going into the game with versus how we're approaching the game. If we're saying this now, what must the players be thinking? I was thinking, Christ, I hope to God they don't turn us over like they did last time, because it wasn't nice last time. Imagine that at home.
Can I just add in there? Can I just add really quickly? The thing about the Bradford game, and obviously, like I said, we can preview that, but if we lose to them, the toxicity in that stadium after that match, if they thump us like 3-0 or whatever, like they did at home, it'll be horrific, right? And what could calm this situation down very easily is just some good communication. And listen, we're all journalists on here, or try to be at least. And we all understand what PR and communication and marketing, how effective that can be. And because we're not getting any communication from anything, or I feel like when the manager speaks, we don't get a true reflection of what's going on. This is where a lot of this build-up of anger and sort of intense pressure is coming from, and I think it'll explode at Bradford if we're not.
So what communication do you want, Steve?
Well, I would like better communication from the manager and not an FA rule book. I mean, somebody said the comment that they were sat behind the dugout and they didn't look like there was any sort of passion or anything there apart from Paul McShane shouting a few things. I'd like some communication again from the top. I mean, these diaries seem to have stopped. I know people criticise them for that. However, I'd like some communication. I'd like, them to say, look, this is the plan. This is also a pivotal month, let's be honest, with the January transfer window, where we can improve the side. We haven't yet heard from Chris Markham, so we don't really know his thoughts on things. I'd just like some good communication. One of the things that we can say about Dean Oyle was that he was a decent communicator. He knew how to react to fan pressure or situations or things after games. That was one of the things that Dean was very, very good at doing, or the board underneath him were very good at doing. I think part of the problem is because we're not communicated with, or the manager is absolutely abysmal at communicating, it feels like the fan base is quite on its own. That's how I feel.
So you want the board to come out after every poor performance to say sorry about that?
No, not after every poor.
I'm going to
not after every poor performance, but I'd just like them to say, "Listen, we know things aren't going as well as what the fan base would like them to do. This is but again, reiterate what is the plan." They don't have to come out after every poor performance, but they have to give some communication.
Okay, Cal?
You set the bar too high when all you do is come out when things are good. So for me, we see Kevin Nagle and Carmichael Dave all over social media when things are going well, when good things have happened at the football club, when we've beaten a side that's in 20th, 5-0, and they're like, 5-0 to the good guys, brilliant, wonderful, excellent. Then you go winless in God knows how many it is now, I can't actually remember off the top of my head. Silence. Silence, even for a draw, silence. You cannot have it both ways. From a PR perspective, you just can't. So the mistakes were made when he was so open and obvious and sort of available on social media. What other football club owners have you seen that tweet the things that Kevin Nagel has been tweeting in the past. It's very
Well,
rare, and there's a reason why.
But when he comes over here next, he should hold a fans forum. That's what he should do.
Carmichael said that he's going to hold the tea with the chairman thing, which is fine, and obviously a very good initiative and wonderful. However, you won't need one of those to find out what the fans are thinking, because he'll be in the stadium for the Bradford game.
Yeah, but he should hold a fans forum. The thing with the tea thing, which is again, like I said, a great initiative, is it's only open to a select number of fans that have applied for that. A fans forum at the stadium, anybody can turn up. That's what one of the things that was so good under Dean Oil. You hold a fans forum, the fans tell you what you think. Dean gave his thoughts, and then everybody goes home and thinks, do you know what? Actually, we might not be in as bad a place, or this is the reason this has happened, or whatever. But because we're not given that opportunity, it's difficult.
Okay, I do want to kind of move on, because we're still not even to a second point on Steve's agenda. We're 32 minutes in here, and he apparently wants to get through it all. Okay, 72 cheesy. We're mediocre first division team. We ain't going nowhere. Fiona, I've seen yours. There is more motivation in a hedgehog finding shelter. Grant is so uninspiring. Dale says Stockport's home form is now played 13, won 6, drawn 3, lost 4. They're 9th in the home form table, so the game was there to be won. We had a manager with the ambition to win a game. If you watch him on the sidelines, he's so clueless, hasn't got a clue how to affect a game when we are losing. It's easy pickings for teams what take us on. The amount of tickets sold for Tuesday speaks for itself in terms of how unhappy fans are. Wouldn't be surprised if we beat our record from the Mansfield game early in the season. Blue Terry, if you've got a number for us, let us know what that is. Joe Kelly, he should have gone after the Wigan game, the Wigan lost, as the fans and the players, there's no structure to our play, and I don't even think the team looked fit enough. Nagel making some mistakes, leaving it too late. Phil, he can't possibly in a place for that game. I think his position is untenable now. What else have we got here? I think there's enough evidence to say that Grant can get results in big games. Can't. I believe you're trying to say there, Mark. So it's time to go. Could be wrong, but I think Nagel's coming over for the Bradford game. Chris Markham is the guest this Thursday at the disabled group at the Legends Bar. I think Edwards is a problem too. I'd get Jarvis back in short to sort this mess out. Seems like every other game is Grant's last now. Can't be a good atmosphere in the squad, and it's showing. Oliver, he's put his big light on. You've heard enough of us three speaking.
Yeah.
What are we? Where are you? Because you're the positive one. You always bring us. You always bring us something positive to the show. Last week it was a new fresh cut. This week it's a new cut. I mean, tell us, what are you thinking on? Where are you for all the fantastic comments that we've got in? Where are you?
Well, no, it's great to see these comments, to be honest. And it's great to see all the passion from the Huddersfield Town fans. I'm on Twitter myself and have asked a few questions, and it's great to see so many people, commenting and putting their 20 pence in, essentially. I mean, some of the comments are not here, but on Twitter, for instance, when people mention about Grant out and all this kind of stuff, I'd like to see people mention a potential alternative. Because it's all right, it's easy to say Grant out, blah, blah, blah. But what's the alternative at this moment in time? Is there a manager out there that would take on the Huddersfield job? And I know that it's not the fans' job, of course. There's people paid thousands of pounds to do this job. But at the end of the day, is it who would you get? Who would you get? I do think the result against Stockport wasn't good. I can't. As you say, I am positive, but I can't be positive about that. We should have, and it did seem, from what I've heard, from what I'm listening to you guys when I was in the green room, about how it did seem like Huddersfield sat back again and got caught off, and then lost it. But I don't know. It's not a good environment, is it? But again, I would like to hear some people's opinions on who would take over, as in managerial. Who would take over, Grant? Who would you get in at this stage in the season?
I think
Because I'm sure, like say, what's his name? Kevin Nagel's coming over, isn't he, for the Bradford game, as Blue Terrier mentioned. This, that must be a crisis talk there. That must be a big talk for everyone, for his management team and things. You wouldn't just randomly come over to over here, would you? So there must be something going on.
It's schedules to come over every so often. It's like a 4 to 6 week period where he'll come over for 2 to 3 weeks. Although it seems to be a question that maybe you ask every week as well, or is asked everywhere. But who next?
Yeah,
we're always asking who's next, rather than potentially going, what actually needs to be fixed.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. Everyone's kind of jumping on this Grant out, and okay, everyone has right to their own opinions, and that's great, and passionate fans. But I just, it's easy to say Grant out, but what? Yeah, exactly. What is next, or what is the next solution?
So me to go back to you there, Oliver, would say is potentially, a lot of fans are saying Lee Grant out, and we're going to do a bit of a count at the end of the show.
Right.
You're not always on that presumption of Lee Grant to go. We're now in January. There's going to be some transfers, which we are hopefully going to touch on if we can get through as agenda points. And, January time is probably not the best time to change managers. After January, what's the point? So you might be looking at Lee Grant for the rest of the season, potentially in the summer to the start of next season. So if you were to go back to all our comments or all the people saying Grant out, and you say, right, okay, stick with me, keep with Grant in, what would you change about the current system?
Well, this is the thing, Kate. I did mention it last time, and he has his system, yeah. When he first started, it's a 3-5-2, yeah, and that has worked. Is an attacking system. Clearly worked. Clearly is doing well in terms of the amount of goals that we scored. I think we're the second highest, or maybe even the top goal scorers in the league. So that's clearly where. Granted, now Castledown's gone, and he was a big part of it, and they'll have to replace him in January, etc. But at the end of the day, he had that attacking system, and I don't think that is built to sit back and defend. I really don't. I would prefer to see an 8-7 victory rather than a 1-0 loss. You know what I mean? I think Huddersfield have that attacking system. He has his system now. At the start of the season, he was chopping and changing, practicing, changing players left, right, and centre, changing the formations. Now he has that system, 3-5-2. It's been working in terms of during the December month. It's kept going with it, and I don't see it as a sit back formation or a sit back system to grind out the results. I think you've got to go and attack, haven't you? You've got to go up there.
So the current system, you don't see that as a sitting back system. You don't see that as a defensive
formation.
Absolutely
not. No, I mean the way the stats features themselves. I mean, look what we're the top goal scorers in the league. We just have to score more than them. Rather than sit back and grind out the results. Because every single time, the past 2 games, we've tried doing that and it hasn't worked, has it? Last minute goals and X, Y, and Z. So, it just changed the system. But it's no. I think we should be playing to our strengths rather than. Yeah, I don't think it is a defensive system. But again, Grant has many people, many of his team members that have a look at this all week in, week out. We only see the end product on the day. And from what I've seen from the games that I've been at, that have kindly, been able to report at, I just don't see this random shift. We do these 3-5-2, get in the face, first half's doing well, and for some reason we sit back and clearly it's not working. Because at the end of the day, we're conceding late goals, aren't we?
Okay. Thank you, Oliver. Cal, do you see the current system as a defensive formation, or do you see it as an attacking formation? You're on mute.
Sorry, chaps. Probably a good thing, to be fair. But I struggle to know what it actually is trying to be, because we have games where it's set up as an attacking formation and it's played like an attacking formation. Then we have the Stockport game where it's set up like an attacking formation and played badly like a defensive formation and put to work to try and be a defensive unit. So it's not one and it's not the other. It's interchangeable, it seems. I think it should be an attacking formation, and in Lee Grant's head, that's how it's set up. And the players that we've bought are to bolster that attacking formation, get it forward, get it down the wings. Ruben Ruskin, Lyndon Gooch, good link up in terms of the way that they play down the wings. It's very clear that we want to take on our opposite number in the players that we've signed. However, you're then asking that side that you've trained to do one thing in one tactic to then do an entirely different thing. I'm wondering then why it doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I completely agree with Cal there. Like, you know, you can't have that attack system. You know, a prime example was the Exeter game. First half, smashed it. We're attacking, we're in the face, and then we switched to defensive mode. If you play FIFA, all out defense, park the bus, not part of the bus, but you know what I mean. Defensive mode, and it didn't work. You know, and they managed to get the end goal. So,
Steve, is it defensive or attacking formation for you, the current system?
It's attacking in games against Burton Albion, Port Vale, Northampton, bottom end of the division sides. It's defensive against the top six. It's quite cut and dry, really. There's a reason why we're the top goal scorers in the league, because we go and attack against the poorer sides because we know that we've got the talent to beat them. We then seemingly become scared or frightened or weak physically, particularly in the midfield against the better sides in the division. So, yeah.
Okay, right. I think a few more comments, and then after 43 minutes, we might actually get onto a second agenda point. So, Stevie, I'm really glad you've read the situation and got us this agenda today.
You've got something against this agenda, haven't you?
I'm just on the wind-up, Steve, because it's fun. I love winding you up. Okay. Yeah, we've got some of the best players in Division 1, but we've got a crap manager, says Michael. Tim, I've seen your comment, mate. I'll come to that at the end. I think that's going to be added to the list. We need a tried and tested manager, not a PE teacher working from the book. We need an experienced manager. It's not rocket science. Blue Terrier, I've seen yours. I just feel as if we're going to get stuck in who could it be next? When at the end of the day, don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think the players can cope with being pressed. If a side doesn't press Town, then we usually win.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
perfect time to get rid. We're still in the playoffs. Bring somebody in now and to get our season back on track. Plus, the window is open to strengthen us. Love this, Phil. Good show as always, guys. Really do appreciate that. Love the nice comments. Our season is still salvageable. It'll be the players who can get back on track if we got rid of him, says Paul. Grant is data-driven, new age manager, robotic the way he sets up. One thing that angers most, if not all Town fans, is that he's throwing the players under the bus. Nothing's his fault, i.e. tactics or subs made or not being made. When's Mystery McGuane back? Feel he could potentially change the way we were playing, can't get through midfield. Apparently he's on the grass, so that's good news. Question, the stats you mentioned earlier, I believe this is you, Cal. Are they live to the dugout as the game's being played? I'd assume, Phil, that there's analysts in there. They'll be noticing everything. He never takes responsibility. It's always the group's fault, not his tactics, which quite frankly baffles me. Right.
Just to add to Phil's stats, they do have a pack on the back, don't they? And that's feeded straight to the statistics guys at the bit behind. So they that was me just adding the thing. That
one's your heart rate, your distance that you covered. That's all for your sports scientists and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so not
your actual stats of your passing and all that kind of stuff, we can pick it up as fans and commentators on an app. They will be able to get the same thing as well. James says this, I'm not sure the midfield is good enough now, but the Hale Bale I've been clutching is now out of straw. Right, line drawn over Stockport. onto his next agenda point, Steve. Thank you. And this is why I love our comments, because Michael has made this so easy for us. Before we'd even hours before we'd even come on, it's like he's spoken to Steve and done this for us. Leo Castledine recalled to Chelsea and sold to Middlesbrough. Ben Wiles transferred to MK Dons. Owen Goodman loan ended. Jack Alnwick in, and Cameron Humphreys both signed. Neo Eccleston back from loan. Okay, that is our transfer news at the moment come January. Steve, I know you wanted to speak about these. Is there anything pressing in that little bit of the transfers that you really want to talk about?
Sort of like in terms of I think the business we've done is fine so far. Bar the obviously the leaving of Leo. I think they all make sense. I've had a quite deep chat within the West Yorkshire Football Show chat on WhatsApp, and you look at like the goalkeeper situation, Goodman going back, Alnwick coming in. I think that's fine. I think you're getting a more experienced keeper there as backup, who clearly is quite good mates with Lee Nichols. They've known each other since 15, been through the same sort of academies together. So I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that makes the goalkeeping department stronger, because he's obviously coming in recognising that Lee Nichols is the number one, rather than knowing Goodman knocking on the door every week going, hang on, you're saying that I'm a first choice goalkeeper, but I'm not playing. Palace then getting annoyed. So I think that's a better situation, definitely. I think Cameron Humphreys is a decent signing. I know Zach, who is obviously not been on here for a while, but he's of a different sort of opinion to him. To me, sorry, I think he's okay. He seemed to play really well at Wickham last season. I think we lack a box-to-box type midfielder that can really take us forward, that's athletic. Ledson doesn't do it. Kasumu can do it, but he can't pass a ball. So that's something that Cameron Humphreys obviously can do. And I think the rest just makes sense. Just a shame that, we missed out on trying to buy Leo permanently. But listen, when the second place championship team comes in for you, you're not going to turn that down here. And I'm sure he'll be on a couple of grand extra than what he could have been at Town. So fair play, decent lad, tried hard, put a lot of passion in when he scored goals. I don't think personally we'd be in the position that we're in now, in fifth, if it wasn't for Castledine. So he just goes on to the long list of loanees that we've had that have been really good over the years. But we need to see more action. Ben Wiles going to MK Dons as well. Thank God he's gone. Like,
I'm surprised that was the first thing that came out your mouth. You've done really well to hold on to it, and you've done even better to hold in your excitement the fact that he's not at the club anymore. Because I'm surprised that wasn't the first thing that came out your mouth.
Same here, I was thinking that.
I'm just pleased that we've managed to move him on. Technically, should go and absolutely rip up League Two, but doesn't have the heart of what you need to be a footballer, in my opinion. A very confidence-based player, probably will be a bit better under Warne, who he worked under at Rotherham. But yeah, he needed to go. He needed a fresh start. We definitely needed a fresh start, and hopefully we can use his wages more prudently elsewhere.
Wow, I can't believe how positive you are about Ben Wiles there. Oliver, how are you making of the transfer window so far?
I think Steve covered it, really. I mean, Goodman probably expected to be number one goalkeeper, and Lee Nichols has taken his jersey away from him. So obviously he's got to go back, and he'll probably be loaned off again and have another go. So yeah, good goalkeeper in Alnwick coming over here. Wiles, I'm not as passionate as Steve is. But anyway, he's gone, and that's the end of it. It's, although he had potential to start off with, I think it's probably the best thing for him to go. Again, sadly, Castledine went, but as we've spoke about in the podcast, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, you can't fall in love with a loanee, can you? Because you always go, and fair play to him. He's going to and hopefully he does well, and hopefully he gets into the Premier League and becomes one of the world's best. Hopefully, who knows? But yeah, it's a good little ladder up. Middlesbrough second in the table. In terms of us, I mean, again, I think someone's comment has just mentioned Paul Hitchinson. Actually, has just mentioned about a midfielder. I think that's what we need, just a defensive midfielder. And that's it. Yeah, I do agree with Paul there. I think that's where we need a sort of an engine house, a powerhouse in there, the leader that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago as well. But I don't know. Do you get that in January? Because then it's panic buying, isn't it? But yeah, transfer. Everything's all good, I think. Again, we kind of knew Castledine was going to go, and good luck to him. There's no animosity, I feel. But yeah, all the best, and hopefully he does well in the Championship.
Yeah, and Cal, just before I come to you regarding the transfer, I think it was made quite clear that Jack Alnwick is going to come in as the number 2. So none of the 2 number 1s anymore. So that's quite an interesting take on how things have changed from the beginning of the season. I feel as if Cameron Humphreys is a replacement for Ben Wiles, not Leo Castledine. I think that were evident yesterday. And I generally thought it took him 40 minutes to get into the game yesterday, and then after that, he kind of tried to take the game by the scruff of his neck as much as he could. And I think we saw a good performance from him, so that's positive. So the 2 players that we've brought in are going to be useful. In Cal, what do you make on the transfer window, and then just positions? Where else would you strengthen? Them questions are going to come back to you, Oliver, and you, Steve, as well. Just very briefly to you two.
In terms of the window so far, I think good. I think we've Leo Castledine, a superb footballer, and will be an even better footballer than we've seen. He joins an esteemed list of loanees from that have passed through the doors of Huddersfield Town and gone on and will do much better things, but be grateful for the time that we had him and what he gave us while he was here, because you've got to. Emile Smith-Rowe, Trevor Chalobah, Leo Castledine, the list could go on, and I'm not going to do because I've also forgotten. But yeah, the window so far good. I think, like you say, Cam Humphreys is a good sort of steady midfield signing, a good body to have in there, and a bit like a Ben Wiles, you want him sort of in the blood and guts of it, getting the recovery ball and trying to link things up, and a good solid body for it. But I do still think that we need that sort of midfield leadership, that experienced pro in the middle to dictate not only in play but also when everything around you is sort of going a bit wrong. We need somebody to go, right, lads, just calm down. We need the Ryan Ledson that Preston had, basically. But in terms of the rest of the window, no surprises yet. I think it's good. The climb down is evident from the no number 1s carry on, or they're both number 1s, or whatever was said. The climb down is very evident, and what that does for Grant and the credibility between him and his players is between them. But it's a step in the right direction in terms of how we should be running things, because there should be a number 1 and number 2 goalkeeper. That's why that system has been established for as long as it has. And yes, the number 2 can provide competition, but ultimately there's a pecking order and you should sort of stick to it. And then in terms of looking for the rest of the window, we generally need to strengthen, I would say, but there's not a particular position in which I would like to see that strengthening take place, bar the blood and guts midfield. I would say potentially if we're going to lose Taylor, Charles, or both, we would maybe need to look at a striker, but getting a striker in January is like getting a rocking horse to lay a turd. So that may be a struggle. The hits of late being Oman Nias and what was his name? Yaya Sanogo. That was a good one.
I liked Shaya Sanaga. I didn't mind him. Only because I like saying his name on commentary. Oliver, any specific position you would look at to bring in January?
Defensive mids, I would maybe say, to stop the goals leaking in.
Okay.
Maybe bring a loanee in. Obviously, in January the prices are inflated. Usually, people panic buy. So obviously, financially, we're probably not going to expect a big amount paid. And Huddersfield don't really do that, do they? We don't really pay for big signings in January. We're talking huge signings.
Joe Taylor, 3 million. Okay.
Come on, how many seasons? So, but I'm just
that
saying
that will last January.
All right. What about previous season? Anyway, I'll get a statistic for that. But anyway, what I'm saying is that when you're central defensive midfielder, someone that's an engine in the park, in the middle of the field, I'll maybe bring a loanee in.
Okay, Steve. Well, I know what yours is: a big striker, big midfielder, and wingers. Should I come to you, or do you want to just say it again?
I'll just say it again. 2 wingers, big nasty, sort of a centre forward, and a experienced midfielder that can get hold of the midfield and actually tell them what to do.
Oh,
But, yeah.
okay.
Can we load it? Sorry, I saw James' comment. That's funny.
James says Ben Wells the ghost. We've already had this one up. So Molyneux from Donny or Collins from Peterborough. Nana Paul says didn't realise Wiles Wentworth had one of his average games yesterday. Obviously, a bit of balance there from Nana Paul. Appreciate that. I think Humphreys is a good signing. That midfield needs work, and hopefully can add to the missing ingredient. It was clear before Christmas that we don't have a leader, a rudderless ship with no captain. Michael Bontley says we should look at Mark Leonard at Birmingham. At least Chelsea will keep them coming, says James. I'm sure they will. There seems to be a good relationship between Huddersfield Town and Chelsea. Archie Collins, Leonard or Molyneux would be a good try. And can we get a new loan? Can we get a new loan manager? Says James Murgatroyd. I think the loan manager. Can we loan a new manager? Sorry, James. Yeah, I'm not on that one. £500,000 a goal, Taylor. I don't know. He scored 7 this year, hasn't he? So he scored more last season as well. Okay. Transfers, all sorts going on. A lot of stuff going on. We believe that there is areas to strengthen, but I think what we will definitely say at the end of the transfer window is that Leo Castledine was an absolute star for Town and everyone's appreciated what he's done, but it's going to be very hard to replace him and it's going to take something to do so. So let's hope that Huddersfield Town can do that. Steve, which means we're now coming up towards the hour mark when we usually finish. We're ready for your third agenda item, which could be split into 2. So next 2 games, we have Rotherham and we have Burton Albion away next week. But first up, Rotherham in the Cup. It's already been mentioned earlier about Blue Terrier, if I remember, or Terrier 930.
Yeah.
About the attendance that might be there. Forget the attendance, it's a massive game because Town still at the moment have the chance to win a trophy.
Is it a massive game? Is it? And how many people on this podcast are caring about this game? Personally, it'd be nice to win it, but am I bothered about it compared to going? Listen, we know what Rotherham are like. I said particularly a couple of weeks ago what I thought of Rotherham as a team, so I don't really need to reevaluate that opposition.
It's a 4-letter word.
It's a 4-letter word, yeah, and it doesn't begin with S, but it could be constituted as that. I think the thing is, you look at this game. It's a chance to win. It's a chance to go forward in the competition. There's probably going to be less than 3,000 people there, if we're being honest. Probably a lot less. Yeah, I'm more bothered about Burton on Saturday and putting a better performance in against Burton, who, as we know, are the scourge of Huddersfield Town normally, because they just do what they do, and Gary Bowie will set them up to be effective as they can be. Put it that way. Yeah.
Oliver, you think that Tuesday could be a big game then?
All right. No, I mean, it's not big as in, oh my God, this is the make or break of the season. Obviously, the league is the most important for us in particular. But I think this game is the most important cup game that we've had throughout. And the reason why is because, as we've spoke about, the morale seems a bit low. And this is a good opportunity for Huddersfield to bounce back on the horse, to get back on there, and to go to Burton riding a wave, rather than being negative and, being defeated against Stockport and then going into the next game. Like I say, this is a good morale. Hopefully it should be a good morale. And that's why, I mean, it's not like the big, World Cup final or anything. If we lose, it'd be sad that we're out. But, I just think it's like more of a morale boosting for Grant and the team as well. And again, it's an option for him to try his, new players or new system, you know what I mean? Sort of a little, this is his experimental game that he's got, really.
So, Carl, it could be a big game in terms of that for morale then, or is it just not that? Are you not that bothered?
I don't know whether it's a big game in terms of morale, considering where we currently are and our previous performances after games in this competition.
Okay.
I'm not sure you can look at it. You can look at it when it's not in isolation. I think when you're on a run like this, yes, it is nice to get a result in a competition like this, but look at the context around it. Look at the crowd that will be down there, and ask yourself why. And then you sort of get the impression that maybe this competition doesn't matter as much, and that the win doesn't mean as much as the league. And a lot of fans would happily be out of this competition if it meant that we were winning more and more concentrated on the league. One thing I also think it does, which sounds horrible and maybe quite controversial, but I think a good performance in this competition papers over quite a lot of cracks in terms of our season, because you can look at our season and go, this has objectively been very disappointing. And Lee Grant can put his hand up and go, well, we had a good run in the cup. We got to Wembley in the cup, won the cup. It's a cup that nobody cared about before the season. It wasn't set out as a benchmark for success before the season. It just so happens that the season's been so poor that we are clinging on to this cup competition as our only bit of good fortune and a bit of hope before the end of what has been a very poor season. So I'm feeling very positive about it.
I can tell. Okay, so how positive are you about going into the Burton game then?
Not very.
Not very. No, Burton's a tough one.
Walked right into that one, didn't I?
Yeah,
you
come
did,
to Oliver last.
Maybe change it up a bit this time.
Steve, I already spoke to you. That's why I've gone to Cal about Burton. Not asked Oliver yet.
On paper, we should beat Burton by quite a handsome scoreline because the tactics should work. If we know what we're talking about, our theory from this evening will be put into practice, because Burton are currently sat 21st. They're in the relegation zone. They're on a poor run of form. Not a great side. They probably won't press us, and therefore that will allow us the space to be able to play Grant ball when Grant ball does work. However, if we don't get a result against Burton, or if it's a draw, if we don't win, that's a yet another damning indictment of a tactical system that, although we've been told that we've got to grips on it and we've tweaked it and now it works, clearly doesn't work. So I think it's a must win.
Oliver, Carl says it's a must win. Steve's anxious about it. Burton away. It's going to be tricky.
I mean, as Carl, thank you for setting me up there, because you said on paper we should win, but football's played on grass, isn't it? So that was a Clough there. Anyway, so the reason why I'm saying that is because we played against Burton, obviously, earlier on in the season, and they were a very physical side. And that's something that I feel that Huddersfield have struggled with against these physical, in-your-face sides. So whether it's going to be the same system for Burton. But yeah, you're right. I mean, again, it just seems to be our season. We play against a playoff contender, then we play against a relegation-threatened team, then we play, and then the following week, anyway, I mean, the following week it's Bradford or whatever. But it's just, it has to be. We have to get these points against the lower sides, and hopefully this time we can get it. Again, as every game's a must-win for Huddersfield at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. So, viewers, get your predictions in for that one. We'll come to that very, very shortly for the next two games. Callum, I'm glad you've come back up on screen. Cowshed Loyal have put out a statement. Have you got it handy? And would you like to read through it?
Yes, I do have it handy. Hang on, just give me 1 second.
So he doesn't have it handy. But to be fair, I just put this on you.
Handy us, right. I do. Do you want me to read it in full or would you like me to summarise?
I'm looking at the time going, can you just summarise it, please?
Yeah, so
Read it in full.
it's a social media statement in a blue background with a white border. Basically,
Cal, read it out in full.
Okay. It's hard to put into words how we feel about the condition of our club right now, but we are giving it a go. Having an expensively assembled squad and ambitions of promotion set by the owner, fans invested in significantly more costly season tickets based on the talk of exciting, dominant front foot football. What we see week in, week out is anything but. We are falling way short of the expected target, and the continued collapse of the trust, loyalty and investment of our incredible fan base is ongoing. Where is the hope? Who do we put our faith in? Our owner and his advisor lay dormant on social media, ready to dish out cheap shots at anyone who dares to voice reasonable concerns and I told you so's to our loyal fans when we win a run of easier games. Where is the accountability when things are tough? We acknowledge some of the positive work the club has done away from the pitch, acquiring the stadium, improvements to the hospitality areas, celebrating our heritage, much of which the fan base has regularly praised the owner for. But these initiatives only go so far, and it is time that the football is taken seriously, instead of it being treated like a plaything with zero direction, agenda or plan. To the senior hierarchy of Huddersfield Town, you have a very loyal, willing and forgiving fan base at the club you run, but we have rarely, if ever, seen such disillusion amongst it. Do not be fooled into thinking that this will be fixed with some video diaries and marketing ploys. You must wake up and return the club to where you found it before the patience runs out completely. Huddersfield Town will rise again.
So what's the message?
The message there is that you bought the club, relegated it, and it needs to be back where it was before you took ownership of it, basically. You know, promised grandiose Premier League in 3 years. Then that didn't work, so you go on Radio Leeds and you say, we'll finish top two. Top two. It's the only way. Finishing third is not good enough. The direct quote was, is anything below that not good enough? The owner replied, yes. And then we finished outside of the playoffs. And then we're on course again to finish, if form maintains and games in hand are won, etc., we're on course to finish outside the playoffs again. More money has been spent, more money has been thrown at the playing squad, the management, and it's not worked again. And it's because the advisors to the man in charge and the man in charge himself are naive enough to be led by each other. We have the communication piece that's not working. We have fans furious at not just Lee Grant. If this had happened 3, 4, 5 seasons ago, you wouldn't be seeing anywhere near the amount of anger that you're seeing now, but it's a culmination of poor decision making time and time again that has led to how many managers under Kevin Nagel? Is it 5, 6?
Few.
It's a culmination of poor decision making that's led to those each time, and it's cost us our place in the Championship. And I don't buy into this whole, well, you've been a League One club for the majority of your life anyway, so you should just be grateful for, you've slipped back to your regular place in the pecking order. By that logic, there's no point watching football because, where's the enjoyment in the sport? So I think it's more an articulation of, to you, this might be an investment and a venture and all a bit of fun, but this is, we will be here. The fans will be here long after Kevin Nagel is no longer here, long after Lee Grant is no longer here, and long after any of these players are no longer here. The fans will still be here and care so much about this football club that is currently in the doldrums, and we seem to just be watching it happen. So it's a call to action. Come on, show us, do something to save this football club that you say you want to make into a Premier League side. Start pulling your finger out and doing what's best for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cal. Oliver or Steve, anything to add to that, or quite happy to just allow Cal to have his moment?
Sorry, Steve. After you.
It's great that what Cal's just said. I think I agree with a lot of it. As I said earlier, I think this could be quite fixable in terms of having better communication. I think there's a lot of good points since Kevin took the club in terms of positives, such as one thing that recently has come out regarding buying the replica of the 2004 playoff trophy, celebrating as heritage like that. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think buying the stadium, really good. Wanting to develop it, wanting to do things off the pitch that we've constantly said how good things like that are. I think you can't say that he hasn't put his hand in his pocket, because he definitely has in terms of for buying players, obviously trying to get new managers. By all accounts, we did try and buy Leo Castledine. That's fair. That's fair enough. There's nothing you can do as an owner if Middlesbrough come in and want to buy that player, because he's obviously going to choose Middlesbrough over Town. The only thing I'd say is the negatives of where this football club are right now have not been helped because of decisions that have been made in the dugout, and then that's been catapulted by the fact that because there's the lack of bad communication that's happened with the fan base, we feel quite alone, frustrated. We don't know where to put that frustration because there is nobody here. There's no physical presence here. Yes, he's coming over for the Bradford game, but yeah, there's a lot of things in there, and we could probably do an hour podcast on all those things just on their own. I think it's a statement that's fine. It's interesting that the Cowshed Lawyer have decided now to put that out, and it'll be very interesting, like we've discussed, what the atmosphere will be like come the Bradford game. There's a lot of positives to Kevin Nagel's ownership of this football club, definitely, and a lot of it is off the field, fan engagement, fan sort of being better in terms of food and drink and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, it's what happens on the pitch. He can't control the players, sadly. The players have let him down. They've let the fans down. They've let the club down over many seasons, not just this group of players this season, over many seasons. You could go back the last 3, 4, 5 seasons. And I think, unfortunately, there's no plan to turn that round in a better way than what's been produced so far. And we want it to work. We want a plan, a better plan to happen to turn this football club round and go in the right direction again. Us four on here, the tens of people watching this podcast, the thousands of people that turn up on a match day, you get this football club turning round, what we did in the Premier League only epitomises what the fan base can do and how it can react to get behind this football club when things are going right. That's all I wanted to add to Cal, what Cal said.
Well, that only. Oliver, anything to say on top of
I'll
that?
try and keep mine short. I mean, obviously the Cowshed Loyal incredible set of supporters who are cheering all the time, are always behind the, whenever I hear them, you always hear the chants. And like I say, there must be a reason why they've announced it now during the January. There must be some big concerns from the fans. And again, there should be that gap, gap that should be bridged between the fans and maybe the hierarchy, maybe ask the questions that need to be asked. But I would say, though, I mean, obviously, Steve, you mentioned let them down. I mean, we are just past halfway. Again, I'm putting my positive hat on. There is still, the season isn't over, at all. There's plenty of games to go. Yes, we're still fifth playoffs. Yes, we could drop down to eighth depending on the games in hand and stuff. But there's a lot of time, there's a lot of time to make it work. There's a lot, and it'd be good to maybe, I don't know, Cal, I mean, what's the idea? Is it plan is to meet up with the chairman, or is it sort of to put some requests out or things like that? Because, at the moment, it might seem so dire, but there is a half season to go, still options and opportunities to get up there. But yeah, it's, but I do. Sorry.
I absolutely agree. There is, a half season to go, and lots of things can change in football very quickly. But I think it's more in terms of addressing the situation that we are currently in, and not really allowing us to settle for less than we're worth.
I see.
I'm not sure that there's a specific agendas at play in that we want to sit down with the chairman and he comes to the table with his people on one side and Captain Royal on the other, like a Western film. The saloon doors swing open and Carmichael Dave comes in. But I think it's more about addressing the realities of the situation, that yes, fifth in the league looks really good, but look at the form table. Then look at the money we've spent and look at the promises made and the ambition, and you see that there's quite that disconnect grows from this to this to this to this. And that's why people are so angry, and it's a visceral anger that I think a lot of Town fans are feeling, and it hadn't been acknowledged up to this point by a collective.
Sure.
Right, let's move on to Steve. You wanted to promote something that we've got coming up.
Yeah, so two very quick things, and then I know that Kane wants to round off on the two games that are coming up and predictions. So
two quick things. If you've got half an hour, guys, keep watching.
No, sure, okay. Two quick things. One is on Monday, the 26th of January. There is an event in the middle of Huddersfield that is being organised by a group of people that are Town fans, but also sort of like are related to the fact that they do these kind of historic events. It's been it's about the thrice champions, kind of the success and the story. There's a lot of people that are turning up at these events, to make a talk and do some speeches. So it's going to be quite an interesting event. So if you want to get down there, it's 7:30, and it's in the middle of Huddersfield. I forget the building that it's actually
all right, Steve. I've got details for you, pal. Right, Huddersfield Town's thrice champions 100 years on, a presentation by local historian James Chisholm. Everyone is welcome. The details are, as Steve mentioned, the 26th of Jan. It's at 7:30 to 9 o'clock, and the venue is at the University of Huddersfield, the Ulster building, which is QA4-02 at Huddersfield University. If you want a postcode, it's HD13DH. So that is on Monday the 26th at 7:30, and it is at Huddersfield University in the Ulster building, QA4-02. So that'd be a great one. I think it's for non-members. It's £2 entry, but £2 entry to go through and listen about the thrice champions, the first club to do it, and it was Huddersfield Town, 100 years on from that fantastic period of football for Huddersfield Town. Steve?
Yeah. So that should be a great event. I'm hoping to go along myself. The second thing is, obviously, we had the very sad news about Terry Yorath's death a couple of days ago. An amazing man that did so much for our football club. That was, we'll talk about that. We're in the doldrums right now. We were in the doldrums in 2004 and 1997, and on both occasions, Terry Yorath and Peter Jackson did an amazing job to save our football club, really. So I'm hoping that against Bradford, obviously a club that he helped out as well and was involved and, helped to save people in the Bradford City fire, a disastrous thing that happened, as we all well know. He obviously was involved as well with Leeds United. So, an amazing man. I hope that we pay a fantastic tribute to him because it's very much deserved. And I just wanted to put out, condolences of everybody involved in our podcast to his family and his friends, because I know that there's been a lot of reminiscing over the last couple of days about everything that Taft did. So that was only the second thing, Ken.
Thank you, Steve. And I believe that Town will be certainly doing something for that one at the Bradford City game when there's plenty of fans in there to mark their respects. Okay, gents, I think it's time that we'll go through some predictions. So let's start with what our viewers have gone with. So Dale, you were the first one in. Town 2, Rotherham 0. Burton and Town 1 apiece. Blue Terrier goes Town 3, Rotherham 0. Burton and Town 1 apiece as well. Tom says Town 4-0 win versus Rotherham and a 3-1 win versus Burton. I love the positivity there, Tom. Fiona says Town 4, Rotherham 0. Taylor will score. Town 3, Rotherham 1. Says Mark, and Burton and Town 1 apiece. Phil says, it's a double loss for Town. 3-0 Rotherham and 2-1 to Burton. Fiona also says Town 2, Burton 0. Both wins for Town, says Nana Paul. 3-0 against Rotherham and a shaky 2-1 against Burton. Michael says 2-0 Town against Rotherham and Burton 1-0. Phil says, I hate to say it, but we'll win on Tuesday 2-0. But at Burton, I see another loss with the manager. Whilst this manager's in charge, 2-1 to Burton, I'm afraid. And Phil says 3-0 against Rotherham and 2-1 Town win against Burton. Okay, I think that's them all. So thank you very much for them predictions. We really do appreciate all the comments that come in. So, Cal, unmute yourself, pal. I'm going to come to you first.
I'm going with a 2-1 Huddersfield Town win against Rotherham. And then I'm going with a 1-0 Huddersfield Town loss against Burton.
Okay, Steve.
Huddersfield Town 2, Rotherham 1, and Burton Albion 1, Huddersfield Town 1.
Okay, Oliver.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3-0 victory for Huddersfield against Rotherham. And then we haven't lost against Burton since 2016, so I'm going to put a 1-0 victory for Huddersfield. That'll be me. That'll be my predictions. So I still think we should, that'll be mine.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Well, it has ended a lot more positive than I thought it would do. So
Have you
well
counted
done.
the numbers yet?
Well, yeah, thank you, Steve. We forgot about that one, didn't we?
Let's not end on a total positive.
There you go. There's the card crash coming through.
Right, okay. Steve, do the count for me. 1.
Yeah.
2. Where's his next one? By the way, we've had so many comments. 3.
4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
5.
Did you ask this question at the start? Because I missed the start of the podcast. Is that what you
Yes.
asked? Oh, right. I missed. That's why. All right. I missed that one.
Yeah. 6.
Half of these are just my burner accounts.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we've got
Cal said Loyal 7, Cal 8, Steve 9. Oliver's obviously too positive, so he's not going to say Grant out. Grant in for Oliver. Kane, obviously you're neutral, so we can't count
Remains
you.
impartial. Switzerland
Yeah.
over there.
Okay, well, I tried to end on a positive until that came up, but that is an interesting way to see what the listeners are thinking and what everybody else is thinking. But I'm going to swing back to the positive. Most of us say that Town are going to win over the next couple of games. There might be a draw in there, but let's hope that Huddersfield Town can have a positive week coming up. First against Rotherham in the Cup, and then away at Burton Albion. Thank you for all your comments and everybody that's been viewing. You've been absolutely brilliant. The comments that we've had in tonight are fantastic. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, all that, as Steve would say, crap. So thank you very much. Hope you have a lovely week. Oliver, Carl, Steve, you've been great as always. Hope you have a fantastic week yourselves. Just double checking, make sure I've got the right outro chip, which I do. Oh, 7. So thank you very much. Have a good week, everybody. It's been a Town Talk special. Town lose at Stockport to a last-minute winner. But hey-ho, a new week, new Town, 2 wins. Let's go. Thank you very much. Until next week, we shall see thee.